What's up, War Report family? We are back with another great edition of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. Today, it's time to face the music. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me for our weekly power ranking segment is my guy, Chris Phillips from SEC Unfiltered. Let me bring Chris in here. Chris, thanks for joining me, man. Thanks for joining me on this sad Monday. We're recording on this Monday. This airs on Tuesday. But before we get started, man, how was your trip to the Plains this weekend?
Mike, first things first, I always look forward to these segments. It was, as you can tell by my voice, I probably had a little too much fun. But no, it was a blast, man. I mean, Mike, first off, it was great to link up with you, my friend. I know with the madness of game day and the game weekend, we got a lot of stuff going on. But, dude, it was incredible. I'm glad we got to link up, obviously. Dude, I loved it. I loved it, man. The full vlog will drop later this week that I documented a ton, which is what I'm doing every weekend. But, I tell people too, Mike, like the places are great and Auburn, the place is unique and the stadiums and watching the teams, but it's really the people that make the difference. And the people of Auburn were incredible. They were welcoming. They were, received us with open arms and just had a blast, man. And even ran into a few Hogs fans that I'm buddies with that were in town too. So, and they love Auburn, which I think speaks a lot to the place and the people that Auburn are. So, I can't wait to get back to the Plains. Would love to return to Jordan-Hare. And, I was sad, Mike, I didn't get to see Tumors get rolled. That was something. I was there Friday night. I went to Tumors Corner and was like, man, I bet this is
the
so
curse
cool.
of Chris Phillips. No team has won, people. Ladies and gentlemen, no team has won when Chris Phillips has visited their town.
You got to put me on blast. I'm going to make sure you understand. So, yeah, I've been to 3 on-campus games. We'll throw the neutral side out. Yeah, the 3 on campus, the home team has lost each of them. So, but Mike, as you pointed out, right, I'm headed to Tuscaloosa this weekend. So
yeah. So hopefully the curse follows you there for sure. Chris, before we jump in, and hopefully you got your fill of Tumors lemonade and Little Italy's pizza. But let's talk about some power rankings here. Last week, we'll start this off as we always do. Last week, Week 4, my guy Chris Phillips ranked Georgia 1, Texas 2, Ole Miss 3, Tennessee 4. No surprises there. Good showing from Tennessee this weekend, so we'll see where you got them. Alabama 5, Missouri 6, LSU 7, Texas A&M 8. OU fell to Tennessee. South Carolina beat Akron with Robbie Ashford at quarterback. We'll talk about the tragedy that was the Auburn Tigers versus Arkansas, butted up right there next to each other. Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Florida to wrap up that top 16. Mississippi State in dead last. Now it's week 5. You jumped Tennessee up there, bud. Ole Miss is slowly. You started this. With Ole Miss as your number 2 team in the country. Week 2. As a matter of fact, let me go back to week 2. Week 2, Ole Miss up there. Week 5, they haven't lost it. They're down to 4.
It's not about what Ole Miss hasn't done. It's about what Texas and Tennessee have done. And to be fair, I just believe in when you notch big wins, we should recognize that.
Okay, and reward the big wins.
Reward the big wins. Listen, we're about to, Mike, play round robin in the SEC where all these good teams are going to play each other and all this stuff is going to sort itself out. So, yes, Ole Miss has pulverized everyone they've played, and it's all been inferior competition. But, when you're Texas and you go win the way you did in the Big House a few weeks ago, and you're Tennessee and you beat Oklahoma in a really hostile environment in Norman like you did this past week, and I think that should be rewarded. You know what I mean? I do. So it's nothing against Ole Miss. I'm high on Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is electric. I can't wait to finally see Ole Miss, Mike, against some SEC competition this weekend. But it's more about what Tennessee did and not what Ole Miss didn't do that I swapped those two.
Well, not a lot of movement on that second level. Last week you had Alabama 5. They stayed at 5. Missouri was at 7. You moved them to 6, and you moved. I'm sorry, Missouri was at
just flip flop LSU.
Yeah, you flip flopped them. Texas A&M didn't move, but where we did see some movement here was South Carolina jumping up into the 9 spot, taking over for Oklahoma, and you dropped OU to 11. Obviously, Arkansas beat Auburn. They jumped up to 10 from the 12th spot. Auburn dropped it down to 15. Right now, you've currently got Auburn as the second worst team in the SEC. So that's where we're going to start the conversation. You were at the game, Chris.
I was.
You were at the game.
I'm a little mad at Auburn right now.
Yeah. So
me and Auburn, not the people, not the place. Hugh Freeze and the team. I'm a little bit mad at them. Yeah, I drank the Kool-Aid of Hank Brown, and boy, it didn't taste as good as that lemonade. I can tell you that
I'm not
much.
so sure that it was a Hank Brown problem on Saturday after watching Aaron Murray's review. So insightful, by the way. If you haven't had a chance, please visit their YouTube channel. It's Snaps CFB _ on YouTube. He does great breakdowns. He covers the entire SEC. I think they do even outside the SEC. They're dropping like 8 breakdowns a week. It's incredibly intricate. But he showed that the Arkansas DBs just made some great plays on a couple of those interceptions there from Hank Brown. Hugh Freeze didn't give him he gave him 2 whole quarters, and then he pulled him. A lot of Auburn fans disagreed with the decision to pull him out and not just continue the game and try to figure it out with Hank Brown. If you're going to lose with him and then move on from them. Like, what do you think? What do you think about the decision to stick there with Hank Brown?
I can see both sides, Mike. I mean, I just remember being in stadium thinking they had to go to Peyton Thorne. I just, with the way the first half went, I thought at least, if nothing else, Peyton Thorne, he gives you that running ability with his legs. It's a little bit of a different dynamic. He has played good football before, but sitting here thinking about it now, Mike, I understand why it wasn't a great decision, because it's like we're right back to square one.
Yeah.
We're right back when we started. We made no progress. We figured out nothing. All the same problems still exist. Like, at least if you left Hank Brown in there, like you said, the result is the same, and you're kind of working through something with maybe some hope it could be better. I don't know how much hope there is that Peyton Thorne, again, is going to be anything that he hasn't been. He was benched for a reason. So,
yeah,
I mean, I can see both sides. Honestly, Mike, in game, my guy Dave Shoemate, who was with me, and I both thought, hey, it makes sense. I understand why they're going to Peyton Thorne. Just looking for some sort of spark, because you're trying to do everything in that moment to win the game. I understand long term though why. Now it just creates confusion, because you and I were talking off air about kind of this dynamic, and I'm like, I mean, I think against Oklahoma, you've probably got to start Peyton Thorne, right? I mean, can you just roll Hank back? Like, what is the dynamic is fascinating, to say the least.
But Chris, so sticking with the theme of quarterback here, it feels like we had a press conference this morning. I'm always there on Mondays, and the question was asked about, what do you do at QB moving forward? Now, after the game, he said, I have no idea. Not something Auburn fans, I think, wanted to hear after 4 games of the
I think his quote,
season.
Mike, was, we got to find somebody who doesn't throw it to the other team.
The team, yeah.
Pretty low bar there.
And then today, he pretty much said it would be a wide open battle this week for quarterback.
Okay.
What are you battling, though? Look, you've seen what you've seen from Peyton Thorne in practice, so you're not judging him based on practice. You didn't make the decision to pull Peyton Thorne from the game based on practice. That's not why he got benched. It's not about what he does in practice. So he came in. Auburn did score a couple touchdowns, but it feels like, and there was a statement made. We talked about this, and I want to read this quote here for our listeners if you're listening on podcast. Tiger Talk is every Monday night over at Baumhauer's. Please go visit Baumhauer's. Let them know the War Report sent you. Hugh says, I love Sam Pittman, and I hope he wins the rest of his games. But I'm telling you that the hard truth is that if we play them 9 more times, we beat them 9 more times. That's what's hard to take. So he believes he's got a better team than Arkansas. I don't know that I disagree with him. It feels like it's self-inflicted, but here's the thing. You may have better players than Arkansas, but coaching factors in. So if his players are beating your players and they've got better coaching, I mean, help me out here. I'm trying to find the words.
That's a damning statement if you're you on yourself.
It's almost damning for you, right?
Yeah, and then it's Saturday. I don't know that I really take it as I saw some people saying he threw guys under the bus. I mean, listen, players have got to have accountability too. So
sure,
but you go. I mean, he was very blunt to go out there. Hey, we got to find guys that don't throw picks. We got to find guys that don't turn it over. Like, and then just come out, man. I just don't know if you should say everything you think out loud, Hugh. I know he's honest. I know he's bluntly honest, and you love guys for that. And we like guys that have some character and everything. But, yeah, to your point, I mean, if you believe you got a better roster than Arkansas, then if it's not the players, it's you. It's you and your coaching staff, right? So you're the ones putting the guys out there. Are you putting them in the best possible position to succeed? So, and I think a lot of Auburn fans right now would probably say the answer is no, just from what they've seen, much less what he's saying. So, yeah, that was a puzzling comment, Mike, to say the very least. And I don't know if I totally disagree. I think Auburn probably does have – they don't have a worse roster than Arkansas. Like, all due respect to the Hogs, but – yeah, I mean, there were just things that happened on Saturday that you're watching. You're like, I can't believe how this team looks. Can't believe it.
Chris, if I showed you the stat sheet and you didn't watch the game, you probably, and you removed the turnovers and the points scored, you would have probably thought that Auburn won that game. And this is where I think Hugh Freeze is coming from when he says we'd win that game because we will probably don't turn it over 5 times or however many times they turned it over again. But maybe you do because this is your second loss. And I tweeted this out after the game. Auburn and the 2 losses so far this season, the numbers have been pretty incredible. So kind of switching the theme to defense here. And I want to read this to you. In Auburn's 2 losses, the defense has given up less than 350 total yards of offense. Cal, they gave up 332 yards. Arkansas, they gave up 334 yards. Auburn managed 14 points per game offensively in both losses and have a combined 10 turnovers, 8 of which are interceptions by QBs. I don't think DJ Durkin's defense is perfect by any stretch, but it's clear that they're giving you an opportunity to win the game. And if you can't score 21 damn points in today's age of college football, you're not going to win many games. So, what do you think about what you saw defensively? Again, you were there, and look, Taylor Green is an athletic quarterback. I expected him to make some plays, which he did. We've seen him do that and give Auburn some trouble in some spots. But most of the wounds were self-inflicted. He went 12 for 27 passing the ball.
Yeah, I think, too, Mike, the maddening thing was in that second half. Some of those 3rd and long conversions, they just can't happen. I mean, from what I saw from Auburn, very physical. I mean, there was some real – we were down there pretty much at field level. There was some hitting going on. Like, there were some pads popping. I thought Auburn brought the physicality. But, man, it's just that one drive stands out specifically where you got a couple, like, 3rd and 10s, 3rd and 12s, and I think it was 3rd and 18 where Taylor Green throws up a prayer. And, I mean, at that point, a lot of DBs, a lot of college guys panic and, give the guy credit for going up and making a play. But a lot of it did. You look at that and you look back at coaching and, again, you look back at self-inflicted mistakes. There were some penalties in the game as well. I know there were some questionable penalties, but, overall, Auburn defensively, they fared a little better, Mike, than I honestly thought they would going in. I thought that, everybody was so down on the defense after the New Mexico game, questioning the athleticism, if you will. Like I thought they ran around pretty well, and quarterback run game was a big factor in that game. I thought early on that was the biggest difference was Arkansas's quarterback could run and Auburn's couldn't. Like Taylor Green with his legs was probably the best offense they had. But for the most part, I think Auburn contained it. But it's some of those 3rd and longs and some of those penalties I know are things that folks are going to look back on, and certainly I do as well, as key moments in that game. And I think Auburn's got a defense, though, that is going to give them a chance for sure. But you got to have balance as a football team and find enough offense to not put it all on the shoulders of those defensive guys.
Yeah, it was rough to watch. At some point, the dam is going to break defensively. You allowed 7 points in the first half after putting up abysmal offensive numbers, Chris. And then in the second half, you just couldn't find enough offense. And eventually those guys gave out. I will say this, and I'm giving a lot of excuses to the defense here, but I will say the personal foul by Austin Keys on the 3rd down that extended the drive that ended up in a touchdown. Can't do that.
Yeah.
Hit him late out of bounds. You've got to know better than that. The play was over. He was not absolutely not going to make a play. It served no purpose. Hugh Freeze characterized it as a selfish play. I have to agree with him. I think it was a selfish play. Now, Austin Keys is not a dirty player. He's not a dirty player, but you've got to think, right? You can't be so in the moment there that you make that sort of mistake as an experienced multi-year guy, right? Like that was hard. That was hard to stomach. So the end score was 24-14, Chris. Let's talk about where Auburn goes from here. Again, I just want to show our listeners one more time. Right now, is Auburn the new Vanderbilt?
Hey, this isn't the Vanderbilt we all know. This isn't the Vanderbilt I think we all know.
Okay, because this is going to be the title of this video. Is Auburn the new Vanderbilt?
No, listen, I think Vanderbilt's going to win a conference game. Now,
okay.
I'm not going to say which conference game. I don't know which conference. That Vanderbilt team is going to beat somebody.
Yeah.
I fully believe that. Again, I'm not sitting here saying it's Auburn. I want to make that very clear.
Okay.
But that Vandy team is solid. Like, they are – I know they lost that Georgia State game, which is –
They took Missouri to overtime.
Took Missouri to overtime, and that's a pretty darn good Mizzou team. Even if you don't think they're, elite, I mean, that's still a really good roster. So, yeah, I mean, listen, I'm you notice most of the movement, Mike, in the power rankings at this point has been the bottom half, not the top half. Like, I think the teams we expected to be good pretty much are good. Like, we'll find out how good. We'll find out how elite. But it's that bottom half that's so darn tough for me to figure out. I mean, there's a group down there of really, Mike, 5 or 6 or maybe 7 teams that, man, any given Saturday, I don't agree with Hugh Freeze that they'd beat Arkansas 9-9, but those 2 teams played 10 times. It might be 6-4. Anyways, Mike, there's a lot of teams in the bottom of the conference, that bottom half, that they're going to beat up on each other. And it's hard to figure them out. I think that's why there's so much volatility in the bottom half of my rankings. And, I think that's what's so disappointing, too, when we bring it back to the Auburn perspective. I don't think we expected Auburn to be so up and down in year 2 of Hugh Freeze.
Yeah.
But a lot of that comes back to having an unstable situation at quarterback. Like, that's, so much of it comes down to that, because you're right, the roster's a lot better, especially on the offensive side when it comes to the skill positions and that personnel you have. And the defense, I think, Mike, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. But that instability at the quarterback spot, we said it before the season, like, that's Auburn's ceiling is tied to that. Like, can they figure it out under center, or at least have a guy under center that isn't going to lose them games? And to your point, give Arkansas credit. I mean, listen, the Hogs were just as desperate to win that one as Auburn was, but, to get that kind of performance on the home field, I mean, that's what's got to be so darn frustrating. And again, to feel like you're kind of back to square one, because, Mike, I think you put it beautifully. What are you looking for from Peyton Thorne in practice this week that you haven't seen from the guy? Like, you know him. What is he going to show you in practice? How much is he going to evolve? So I know that's the frustrating thing. And I mean, I expected a much better outing from Auburn on Saturday. And they're kind of on my shit list, for lack of a better way of putting it. I don't know. Excuse my French.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, I think it's accurate description of how they played so far. Chris, before we get out of here, as is our ritual, Auburn plays Oklahoma this Saturday. Give me a final score, a winner, and why.
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting, Mike. We now know that Oklahoma is going to start Michael Hawkins at quarterback. That has been announced
Michael Hawkins
by Brent
Jr.
Michael Hawkins Jr., yes. That has been announced by Brent Venables. So there's no – I feel like Brent's kind of showing his hand, right? A lot of coaches would let the thing drag out. We'll see what Auburn does at quarterback, and that's going to be the topic of conversation, right? I think all week is quarterback play. I mean, the way college football has gone this year, Mike, is when you feel like that's when it goes the total opposite way. I don't know how I can in good conscience. I don't know how I can in good conscience, Mike, pick Auburn again. And I hate myself that I picked Auburn last weekend.
Well, you're not going to be here, so maybe that's
right. But I say that because love all the Auburn people that are tuned in that I met, but you might recall over the summer when I picked Arkansas to beat Auburn in kind of an upset.
Yeah, you got hell.
I got hell. Like, I was crazy for even insinuating the game will be close, and sure enough, look what happened. But, I don't have any desire to take a victory lap or a pat on the back. I'm not happy that we watched Auburn play the way they did. I mean, I gotta go Oklahoma, man. I have to. Like, with that defense, how is this the week that Auburn finds himself offensively?
Yeah.
How?
Defensively.
I mean, dude, they're legit on defense. So
Hugh Freeze noted that Oklahoma's defense has only allowed one explosive run all year so far. So, they're going to be in a situation probably where you need the quarterback to make some plays with his arm. Now you're picking Oklahoma to win, but what's the score here?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 23-20 Oklahoma. I think it's really close. Like I think you've got to factor in too, Mike. Oklahoma coming off that really emotional game against Tennessee, like that was a really tough loss for them. I think that was a punch in the gut, and I've got to imagine Auburn is going to be playing hair on fire, desperate. Mike, it sets up in one of those spots where it's like, I could actually see Auburn winning, which is more than I think a lot of people are going to say. So I think it's a lot closer than people are going to expect. I think so many people are just like, dude, Auburn's cooked. They're finished. Like, I think Auburn understands, like, this is a must win. To your point, this is a must win before you go on the road for an entire month. I'm going to pick Oklahoma 23-20, but I am not going to be surprised. Actually, I'm going to pick Oklahoma 23-20, but I'm not going to be surprised if Auburn just inexplicably finds a way to get this W, because they just have to have it.
23-20 win by Oklahoma.
Yeah, I think it's close.
I'm telling you, the pitchforks are going to come out, because it will mean Auburn blew it somehow in the final quarter, and it's going to be another inexplicable moment that we're here talking about next Monday. Chris, before we get out of here, tell people where they can find your stuff, man.
Yeah, Mike, it's always a pleasure, man. I appreciate you having me on every week. We're at SEC Unfiltered on X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the social media platforms, YouTube, podcast, and our website, secunfiltered.com.
Guys, that's it for another great edition of the Auburn Express with my guy Chris Phillips from SEC Unfiltered. Subscribe to them on YouTube and follow Chris on Twitter. If you want more content like this, please hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. We're signing off, and as always, War Eagle.